Well, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of us, I have something new from the folks at Tuff Gear. This is another Chris Tanner design. Now you know, if you've watched my channel at all, that for a long time this, which is the JX5, is my absolute favorite monster outdoor knife. It is 3V, it is a humongous thick chunk of 3V, it is comfortable, it slices wood. Look, I've given up carrying a hatchet when I go camping because this thing does everything I want it to. I have an axe, like a full-size axe, but the mid-range stuff, the JX5 does it all. And it is balanced enough that you can process food with it. This is an excellent all-purpose survival tool. But when Chris Tanner designed it, this was not the handle he envisioned. No? The handle he envisioned looked like this. So what is this? Well, if you've read the description in the video, you'll know. This is the JX Omega. And this is a wonderful knife. It is SK85 tool steel. It is enormous, and yet the real difference between the JX5 and this is this handle design. Now, I've had this thing over where I do my wood testing and stuff, and first off, you can get up close with this thing, and it's very well balanced. You can do fine work with it really, really well, right? It's heavy, but you can do it. But because of the room on this handle, if you need to swing this thing like a machete, you absolutely can, from way back here. You can choke up a couple of different degrees on this thing, depending on where you want the balance to be and where you want your hand to be. It feather sticks like crazy. It processes wood like mad. I have driven this thing through some very dry old oak and even some not so dry old oak and you name it. I have not yet been able to leave, I got a little bit of oil left on there. I have not yet been able to leave a mark on the blade or scratch the bead blast that's on here, right? As you can see, it says JX Omega, SK85. This happens to be number 191. Now, when I looked last, there were a couple of these left on the Tuff site. They're about 200 bucks, which, you know, I just think it's worth it. If you like big fixed blades, this is the one for you. And I do. I really do. I have a myriad of, I don't know, 10 or 12 sort of never leaving the collection fixies, ranging from stuff like my Chris Reeves Nyala up here to the JX5. I've got a bunch of stuff. I wanted to review this for a couple of reasons. One, you know, the JX5 is still the king monster in my collection, but I like the versatility and the blade shape over here of the Omega, and I'm really into it because I want to have them all. What do I mean by all? Well, sometime either towards the end of July 2021 or maybe August, the JXV, which is this blade shape on this handle, drops on Tuff, and I want one of those really badly. I'd like to have them all. I like Chris Tanner's designs. Some of his other stuff, the JX6, JX3, some of his other stuff's a little too small for me, but his big stuff, I really like it. And I love Tuff's design and the way they put their knives together. One of my all-time favorite knives is the Tuff Mount Rainier, which is just a great knife. Okay, so let's get into what you get here. Well, again, the only size comparison I'm really going to do is against the original JX5. And as you can see, the JX5 has a little more blade. Let's get that moved up a little bit. The JX5 has about 3/4 of an inch more blade and a lot less handle, right? Particularly because of the way this is shaped. Your hand is forced into this, you know, kind of up here. Now this is a much more traditional sort of clip point, almost Bowie. If it had a little curve to it, it'd be a Bowie, but it's just a drop point, excuse me, right? They're not quite the same thickness. The JX5 is a little thicker, but man, it is going to be really hard to determine which of these two things is going to get the most use out in the field next time I go. So there's the size comparison. If you know the JX5, you'll know that the JX Omega here is just a little bit bigger, mostly because of the handle. Go ahead and put this away. Again, the sheath that I use for the JX5 is a Chris Luthi. It's Chris the holster guy. I'll actually put a link to his website in this video. I'm doing a whole giveaway based on his stuff here pretty quick, but if you like the way this looks, and I do, you might want to check him out. So let's get some other specs out of the way. Make this thing fit on the table, shall we? Well, let's do this here. Let's do the blade first. So the blade is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 1/4 inches of cutting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a little bit, we'll do here, 8 and a little bit, 8 1/10 maybe inches overall of the SK85, that direction. The grip area on this thing is astonishing. From the first choil, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 inches to the bottom of this swell. It's a Zweihander. I mean, you really can two-hand this thing if you wanted to, but the purpose of all this is to give you room to move around to do whatever you want, right? Gonna swing it like a hatchet or a machete, you're back here for full swing power. Do basic cuts with it, you come forward a little bit to this sort of first choil, and then it's sort of a kitchen knife, almost. Really need to do fine work, you can choke way up on the blade and work this way against the material that you're working and do, like I said, feather sticking. Oh, I guess maybe I did. Nope. I thought maybe I had marked the blade, but I hadn't. The knife overall, I'm just going to cheat, is 15.5 inches. That really makes me laugh. Now, it comes with a very nice sheath. This is pancake style Kydex. They've done a really good job. Good enough, in fact, that while I'm not going to have another sheath for this made, but what I am going to do, there we go. Is there a little bit of rock? Little bit. I'm going to have this tightened up a little bit. Is I'm going to have one of these danglers made for it, like this. Right, a little bit of folded Kydex, a good ring, and something for the belt. Because a knife like this does not need to be, at least for me, does not need to be tied up against my hip. I would much rather have it on a dangler. Now, because it is so long, you could thread something through here and tie it down to your thigh if you didn't want it to move around too much. But that is what we're going to do. I love fixed blades. For years before I collected folding knives, I collected fixed blades because they're just interesting to me. Endless variety, endless function, endless sort of design aesthetic. And Chris Tanner really has a cool eye. I love this monster. Like I said, when last I checked, there were a couple of these left. If you're interested, hit up the Work Tuff site. Excuse me, DLT. Hit up the DLT site. My goodness, DLT, I'll put a link, and check it out. Let's go ahead and weigh it before we let it go. It is heavy, and it's supposed to be. It's a 16-inch knife. Let's see what it weighs in at. Total weight on this thing is 1 pound, 6.7 ounces, which is a lot. Oh, sorry about that, about the camera. Let's see what the JX5 weighs in at. 1 pound, 0.78 ounces. So this is actually lighter than the JX5, and it should be. It's thinner stock. By the way, this is the stock thickness that the JX5s are generally. I happen to have one of the ones that was made with thicker stock. And we're going to go ahead and leave it there. The JX Omega is another excellent design from Chris Tanner. A fantastic outdoor knife and just a hell of a monster as well. If you're into this sort of thing, and well, if you're not, I don't know what to tell you. But I am, so I have one. Go ahead and check the DLT site, see if they've got 1 or 2 of these left. If not, Well, maybe they'll make more down the road. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.